Good afternoon, dear viewers. I'm Priska Agnolo, and welcome to today's edition of NMH at 1. Thank you so much for joining us. Top of everyone's mind today is the midterm budget review. Everyone is waiting in anticipation to see what Finance Minister Ipumbushimi is planning for the country. And in news from Gababas, the Deputy Minister of Gender Equality, Poverty Eradication and Social Welfare, Bernadette Yaga, is currently on a familiarization tour of the Omaheke region, where she plans, amongst others, to visit early childhood development centers. And in good news for consumers, commercial manager at Namibia Mills, Peter van Niekerk, said the company will be decreasing prices on all maize meal products by 5% effective as from 2nd of November 2020. And in the capital, the Windhoek municipality officially switched on electricity for the Ochimwese Extension 6 informal settlement as part of its development obligations to supply electricity to underserviced communities. And now we move on to COVID news. In our COVID-19 monitor, an additional 1,110 contacts of confirmed cases were traced over the 7 days up to Saturday. Namibia's total contacts are close to 30,000. Red numbers indicate the regions in which the most new contact tracing was done over this period. In Windhoek, 242 new individuals were listed, 186 in Oshikoto, 159 in Oshana, 122 in Kunene, 109 in Oshodonjupa, and 96 in Rundu. Only 4 new contacts were recorded in Karas region, 7 in Omusati and 10 in the Zambezi region. Now do remember to stay safe. The Basic Income Grant Coalition paid a visit to Popular Democratic Movement. The PDM welcomed the idea but said a grant cannot be applied universally and that discussions on the topic need to be held. Do take a look at the video insert.
Improve the health sector, this and that. But the same policy that is lauded as the best in the world did not achieve that. So we should also be very careful, because I want the Basic Income Grant Coalition to create a basic income grant with Namibian characteristics. We should be informed by our developmental trajectory to see what is it that we can achieve in the current form that the state is. I mean, if you have an economy that is growing less than this year's growth, we will hear today whether our growth is less than 1%. I don't think we will reach 1% or 2%. We will be in a negative. And you are pushing an agenda saying that, yes, to get people out of poverty, to push back the frontiers of poverty, everybody must get the money. And yet, we are a nation with a high Gini coefficient. High Gini coefficient means that we have a group of the ultra-rich that you are saying they must also be targeted. How do you really justify to the poor that the ultra-rich, because you want the poor to be helped, the ultra-rich must also be helped because they are citizens? See, those are the dynamics. And I would really push for us to call a debate between your coalition, us, and a number of players, so that we start debating not the principle of basic income grant, but to start debating the modification, so that we arrive at a basic income grant with Namibian characteristics, that we achieve what we want to achieve in the broader interest of our own society, knowing and taking our own situations in sync. So I agree with what you are saying. I agree with these charts, and it's quite very interesting.
The countrywide demonstrations against sexual and gender-based violence continue. In the next clip, Alison Muhongo reads a petition to Ongwediva Town Mayor Angelina Angula demanding that the council create safe havens for sexual and gender-based violence survivors. This clip was submitted by Tuyemo Haidula.
Justice for the next generation! Police force reported that during the 18 months ended June 2020, 1,604 rape cases were reported. Translated, these statistics paint the horrifying image that for 540 days between January 2019 and June 2020, 3 rape cases were reported to the police every day. In 2019 September, the Gender-Based Violence Protection Unit in Windhoek reported that between September 2019 and December 2018, it received on average 200 cases of domestic violence per month. Against translated, these statistics paint the horrifying image that for about 300 days, the Gender-Based Violence Protection Unit in Windhoek received about 66 domestic violence cases per day. These horrifying statistics join stories which have in the past left Namibians speechless. They join the story of Viola Swartboy, who was found buried naked in the shallow grave in 2005. They join the story of Sama Garros, whose body was found in the rubbish bin next to the B1 road in 2005. Dissected into two, they joined the story of Melanie James, whose body was found lying naked next to the Western Bypass in 2005. They joined the
60-year-old guide at Mawani Mountain Camp close to Tweefontein, Rosalia Harayes, was one of the first black female guides in Namibia. In the next clip, she speaks about the desert-adapted elephants in Damaraland and how the local communities in the area work together to benefit from each other. The Algemeine Zeitung's Claudia Reiter compiled this clip.
I'm Rosalia Harayes, well known as Rosie. I'm the camp guide of Mawani Mountain Camp at the moment. Yeah, I've started completely at grassroots level with wilderness safaris, but I'm now at the camp's base at the camp now. I used to do also overland tours and freelance tours with the other companies too. And I'm doing mostly nature drive with the guest. And in our area, we have got actually elephants, which we are doing with our guests. And it's the desert adapted elephants, which we have got in the area. And we have got 2 groups in our area, which is Damaraland Camp or Damaraland. And one is actually Rosie's group, named after me, because I'm one of the first black female guide in Namibia. And the other group, it's called Oscar's group. And we have got both, but at the moment, because of the food, which is not that much, they've moved out actually into different areas, and they form small groups also, small groups all over. So yeah, that's actually the elephants which we are doing.
Okay, one more question. Do you have any problems with poaching?
Poaching, really not that much with elephants, because ivory is not that much expensive, but we have got now and then there is a rhino poaching because of the rhino horns. Yeah. About the conservancies and the local people in the area, well, previously there was a lot of conflict between the local people and the elephants, because previously they didn't benefit that much from their wildlife. It's only commercial farmers which is much benefiting from their wildlife. And in that way, people, they've just chased out the elephants if they came close to their water points for drinking water. And government has made a good joint venture thing with which we call conservancies. And under conservancies, actually, local people are also benefit from their wildlife because government allow them to look after their own wildlife, benefit from them, and in that way they've started get used to the elephants also too, and then they form much like a close hand to hand or close to stay bit close to each other. And in that way our elephants are also very relaxed with the local people, with the vehicles, and they drink much at the local villages, and the local people are also opening troughs for them to drink, and that makes them also better relaxed with the human being in the area, and the conflict between them, it's bit less now than previously, because previously they think like these things are just coming to mess up our water. They take out the pipelines, they push down the windmills and so on. So that has made the local people previously upset. But now with this joint venture project, actually they've started to get used to them, help each other. Elephants are used to human being, and human beings are also used to elephants, because both are benefit from each other, and that makes them relax also, and they are not anymore pushing down that much windmills and taking out pipelines and so on. So it's a good idea they form these conservancies. It helps them also, and they benefit also from the tourists which is sleeping at the lodges. 10% of their income, 10% of this payment of the tourists, it's going to them. So it helps them also financially, and also it has bring a bit of friendship between the wildlife and local people.
And now we move on to our newspaper dailies for today. Taking the lead on Republican, Joe Marie Daddy reports that today's midterm budget review is likely to be marked by an even greater debt burden, little, if any, relief, and the sort of struggling state-owned enterprises such as Air Namibia and the road contracting company RCC over taxpayers' heads. The budget review also takes the lead of the Namibian Today, with Lazarus Amukeshe reporting that analysts are in a tug of war over expectations, although most predict government will cut expenses to reduce debt levels. Similarly, the New Era leads with the midterm budget review, with economists suggesting the finance minister will focus on mitigating the impact of COVID-19. On the front page of the Namibian Sun today, SWAPO spokesperson Hilma Nikono leapt to the defense of President Hage Geingob, who is under increasing pressure to backtrack from controversial remarks he made about white people over the weekend, saying what he said had been taken out of context. Also on the front page, a report that town councils across the country owe NamWater a whopping 470 million Namibian dollars. The Algemeine Zeitung leads with the youth in Keetmanshoop that joined countrywide demonstrations against sexual and gender-based violence over the weekend. This in the face of the police reporting 4 cases of abuse against minors in just 3 days. The main photo is the sad tale of how a desert-adapted of how a desert-adapted elephant calf born in the Abahwab River died just 3 hours later due to the extreme heat. And now we move on to the inside of the daily newspapers. Inside the Namibian, Werner Menges reports on the ongoing murder trial of Andre Hekmer, allegedly by the hands of 2 American citizens. The victim's mother testified that her son had a lunch appointment with American friends at the time he was killed in 2011. As reported inside Republican, by yesterday afternoon, fires that had been raging in the Etosha National Park for more than a week, claiming more than 253,000 hectares of veld. From the Nina area east of Windhoek came the report that a huge fire there that destroyed much rangeland seems to be under control. And inside the Allgemeine Zeitung, a photo report on the small wooden double-masted yacht, Lily, that sank at the Walvis Bay waterfront on Friday morning. Namport says that the boat is currently being removed by the owner. In the Namibian Sun, Alani Smith reports that the outbreak of African migratory locust has worsened, with the entire Zambezi region now affected. A single swarm can eat as much in one day as 2,500 people, demolishing crops and livestock pastures in a matter of hours. Inside the New Era today, the LPM's Bernardo Swartboy says the disparities between rich and poor, especially when it comes to housing in Walvis Bay, is a shame. And inside the Market Watch today, the new owners of Elizabeth Bay mine say they are finalizing a finance drive to ramp up to full production. Also inside NMH Dailies today, the Junior Focused Edition. Don't miss out on all kinds of interesting information for you and the kiddies. And now we move on to our interview section for today. In our interview segment today, Otis Fink of our Irongo office speaks to the Chief Executive of Karibab, Leslie Goroseb, about Council's efforts to address the housing need in the town. Do take a look.
We know that Namibia has an issue or have issues with regards to the provision of housing. What is Karibab municipality or council doing in that regard?
Yeah, apart from the informal settlement upgrade that we have done, 700 Erwin, plus minus 700 Erwin in Uis, plus minus 600 Erwin in Harambe, phase 1 and phase 2, where we have provided Erwin at a cost of around 1,200 Namibian dollars per Erv. And
Size?
300, the smallest one, 300 square meters,
Yes.
but not more than 400.
Yes,
Maybe at the corner it will maybe go up to 400, but the maximum 400 squares,
yes,
which we are selling. Then we will give people to certificates of ownership, and then we will provide people first infrastructure that we will provide is water, and then we will provide sewer, sanitation, and then also we will provide, electricity is one of the most expensive. Maybe we will promote solar, or we will see how we can bring that infrastructure. But formal housing, after partnering with NHE also, we have provide NHE with around 72 Erwin. As we speak, NHE is currently constructing 42 houses. We have also partnered with private developers. In terms of private developers, what we do is we give them 5 Erwin. They go and look for bankable clients, and then they provide us with the names of the bankable clients, and then we take them through council approval, and then they construct houses, and then council is getting 30% of the profit after expenses from the sale of those 5 Erwin to the and then we've also sold all available Erwin to the residents of Karibab. The only challenge that we see is people need housing, but the construction cost is normally a challenge.
yes.
People will cry for the Erwin, but they will not be able to construct, and they are also not bankable.
Yes.
Bankable clients is very hard because the stringent ways of approving someone to be getting a loan from the bank is
Yes.
a challenge.
Yes.
But provision of housing in terms of informal areas, council has been bringing inside, and I think within the next 5 years we will be seeing there will be no informal areas in Karibab.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
We've come to the end of our program for today, and I've been your host, Priska Nyolo, and thank you so much for joining us here at NMH at 1, and I hope to see you again tomorrow, same time, same place. Goodbye, Namibia.